Hey guys, Adam here. I want to talk to you about a dynamic in relationships and romantic relationships in particular that I think a lot of you are going to be able to relate to. I know I can certainly relate to it in some of, looking back on some of my past romantic relationships, and I wonder if you'll be able to see yourself in some of these dynamics too. So last weekend I was at a wedding. The wedding itself was really beautiful and really connected and really a wonderful experience. And at the brunch the morning after the wedding, a couple of us were just talking about the topic of relationships and our past experiences. And we were talking about this dynamic and this dynamic of where we have a past relationship, and whether it's during the relationship or after the relationship has ended, we have trouble reconciling the good parts of the relationship with the bad parts. And in particular, when it comes to kind of the good parts of the character of our partner's character, and the kind of unsavory parts, or the parts of that we really had kind of a hard time dealing with, and maybe even a hard time facing when we were partnered with that person. And we face a lot of turmoil because here's this person that we really cared about, and here's this person that we loved, and maybe things surface throughout, or things that cause the relationship to end really cause us to doubt the integrity of that person, the how good of a match they were for us, and we can take that personally too, where we wonder, like, what's wrong with us for having chosen that partner for so long, or what's wrong with us for not seeing those red flags earlier, and how do we too see this person now who we invested so much of our time and energy into, who we may now see in more of a mixed light. And it's this confusion and it's this consternation of, like, what's real here, and what actually just happened after we have maybe some difficult revelations about our ex, or about our current partner. And there's a lot of kind of reality fluidity, where what we thought was true, and maybe what we thought the relationship what we thought was true about the relationship that we were in and the partner that we were with, ends up being maybe not what we thought it was, and a little more of a complicated picture. So I think that one of the dynamic that I want to hone into here is that feeling like we're now trying, after the revelation, and after after we kind of hone in on this central contradiction of, this person who had so many great qualities, and this person who we cared about very much, and then these, kind of this tension that we feel of these realizations that we've had about them, how they treated us, how they behaved, is that central question of what's real here and what's true here. And the difficulty I think that we have is the either or. The difficulty that I think we have is trying to figure out, was this a good person, was this a good partner, or was this a bad person, and was this a bad partner. We kind of have these two spheres of their qualities and their character, and we get stuck and we get tripped up on trying to only choose one of the two. And I think that, and this is true for kind of my past experiences, and was true for some of the people who were sitting around the table with me that day, is if we can take a step back even further from that either or consideration, and we can see that it's a both and consideration, where where they had good qualities, they had things that really delighted us, they had things that really brought us joy, but then there were also things that maybe we were blind to, or that we didn't like, that we didn't give enough credit to. But that this is a complicated, beautiful person who we chose to invest in for however long, and that there actually doesn't need to be a reconciliation of the two kind of broad brush categories of their behavior and their quality. That, I think, allows a couple things to happen. When we're not stuck trying to decide the both and, we can allow the compassion to flow back into the relationship. We can allow the compassion to flow back into, even if the relationship has ended, to our understanding of the relationship, kind of what was true there, and our understanding of that person. You know, that this person did have beautiful things about them, and they did have kind of complicated, unsavory things about them, and one doesn't negate the other. I think that's one thing, allowing the compassion to flow back into them, especially if we felt kind of animosity towards them, or we felt betrayed, or we felt like, you know, like they couldn't be trusted, or that, you know, they were a bad person, period. You know, we can allow ourselves to hold those contradictions in kind of more of a mature way. And it also, for us personally, it allows us to not feel so guilty that we let ourselves down, not feel so guilty that we had those blind spots, not feel so guilty that we may have chosen to endure a relationship that ultimately wasn't good for us for the sake of participating in the parts of it that were really fun and were really magical and were really connected. So it allows us to release some of that guilt and some of that shame, and it also allows us to restore that trust in ourselves that we know how to choose good partners for ourselves, that we know, you know, for the next time around, if the relationship in question has ended, that we don't have to worry so much about, you know, this tendency that we have to maybe ignore things that aren't so good for us. I think the fact that we've gone through something like that before certainly will make us more aware the next time around, where we will be cognizant of the fact that maybe we tend to excuse concerning behaviors, or that we tend to choose relationships that play out certain patterns, and maybe we want to just decide to choose a different kind of relationship next time. We don't take it so personally, like, what's wrong with me? What did I, you know, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Why did I make this choice? I think asking yourself why you made the choice is valuable, but not to the extent that you like take it so personally and are so crippled in your decision making ability in the future. Because that, the only thing worse than realizing that you maybe made a questionable relationship decision in the past is swearing off relationships altogether and not allowing yourself to have a new experience with all of the awareness and the skills and the understanding that you gained through that experience, which is, you know, in some ways is what it was meant to teach you, and the way that you were meant to grow through it in the first place. So to summarize all this, I'd say that you know, instead of getting stuck at trying to decide, was my partner one way or were they the other way? Are they good or are they bad? Instead of trying to pigeonhole them into one category, see them more in their complete wholeness. See them more, not only them, but the relationship in its wholeness. You know, you can see them as a complicated, flawed human being who had both good qualities and some concerning qualities, both ways that they were compatible with you and ways that they weren't compatible with you. And you release yourself from that burden of reconciliation, from that burden of guilt, from that burden of that feeling of betrayal and lost trust. And you're allowed to just see it more for what it was, how it served you, who the person is. Again, allow that compassion to flow back into the equation, and set yourself up well in terms of being honest with yourself about what happened. You know, setting yourself up well for the next time around. All of those lessons learned, all of that insight gained, all of that awareness expanded, and it allows you to really move forward instead of kind of getting mired in that one decision, or that one central point of confusion of how did I allow this to happen, and what does that mean about me. So that's just what I wanted to share with you today. I hope that's helpful. I hope maybe you can see how that has shown up in your life, in your past relationships, and how you might be able to implement some of that insight and some of that forward progress moving forward, so that you can have other wonderful experiences down the line.